So this is the story of Jazz, who came to us in July, I think, no, August 2014, with her brother Jupiter. When she came to us, she was known as Junon. I didn't like that name, so we quickly renamed her Jazz. And in the first couple of weeks, we kept them in the middle bedroom. So this is Jupiter having a look and checking out the hood for when he could go out, Mr. Adventurers. Us used to go into the room, I don't know, 4 times a day, clear up the litter tray, sweep up the floor. They used to chase the broom and socialise with them. And then eventually there came a point when we began to decide that they could get, I think they were waiting for vaccinations so they could go out. They're named after the letter J, which is how animals in France are often named. The each year has a letter of the alphabet for pets. So obviously in 2014 it was J. So we kept it as J. She's so cute. She's still cute. She's hardly changed. I think she's grown into her ears more. And this is them downstairs, I think. We had another cat at that time called Grebo, who was, I think, probably about 15. Oh, I'd been scratched there. So once they'd been vaccinated, they started to have some time in the garden. Quite worrying for me, near the fish pond, which is where they are. They're around the edge of the fish pond. And this is Grebo, who was aging, not very impressed by having the kittens. There's Jupiter on the ground and Jazz above him. I'm really worried about her because she'd only got 3 legs. She was born with that limb missing. The shoulder joint's there, the shoulder joint's there, but the leg's missing. She manages just as well as any 4-limbed cat. So Jupiter, I'm not sure how many months it was before he went walkabout, but I think it was probably another couple of months. I'll have a look when I get to that on the album. And here's one of all 3 cats. Grebo's still not interested. They're very interested in Grebo, particularly Jupiter. That's Jazz. Particularly Jupiter. Jupiter was determined that Grebo would be his friend, whether Grebo liked it or not. And here they are, curled up after a hard day at the office. So Jupiter persisted on being Grebo's friend, and we came in one day and noticed that Grebo had come in and started cleaning Jupiter against his better wishes. I don't think he realised what he was doing. And eventually they would all curl up together, which was really lovely. And what was nice was that Grebo was not doing so well, and unbeknownst to us. So he was getting on a bit and tired and old. And I think, and he'd been brought up with a sister, so he'd been part of a pair, Chansky, who was killed on the road here after we'd been here a couple of years. So I think for him it was really nice in his last months to have the comfort of the 2 cats. And he started being playful again, which was lovely. This is Jupiter watching television. He was quite interested in the television. Jazz never took any notice, but Jupiter did. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. That's a big bird on there, I think. It's difficult to see. It's quite funny though. I think, where is he? He's still looking. I think he gets up in a minute. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get you. It's so funny. And Jazz has never shown any interest in the television. We often say to her, look, there's a training program on, and she doesn't look. Not really sure what you'd call this. A flock of cats? It was so lovely when they used to curl up together. So we're now down to just Jazz and Grebo. Jupiter had gone walkabout. I mean, this is taken in March 2015, and I've got a feeling that he'd been gone at least a couple of months. We had no idea where he'd gone, and you know where we live, and we've seen that we're surrounded by woods, and so obviously we went out and looked in the woods. We went down the road and looked as far as where Chansky had been knocked over. We listened and all of those things, and we didn't see him, and we just hoped that he'd gone off somewhere on an adventure. And this is Jazz with her mate Achi. They just started to make friends, and then he didn't come round so often because there was a new puppy, and Mark and I couldn't cope with two dogs. So she just started to get, I mean, actually still looking a bit worried. There's a lot of reflection now in this screen, isn't there, for you to see? He's looking like he's wanting somebody to save him. So I don't remember what year it was that eventually we had to take Grebo to the vets and had to have him put to sleep. And when she examined him after she'd given him the pre-med and he was sleeping, and when she examined him, she found that he'd got a tumour. I mean, he'd really not been well. So we now just have Mrs. Jazz. I can just hear her coming in the cat flap now. She normally comes in at this time of day. Oh, that's her in her favourite place with her dad. She used to jump through that window, but she can't now because there's fly netting there, mosquito net there now. This is what she does on a hot day. Ow, that's it, Mark. You're digging yourself, thank you. It's what she does on a hot day. Collapses on the kitchen floor when it's too hot. She gets into some really amazing poses. So in the last couple of years, she's got into fights with the cats up the road. I think it was the year before last that she nearly lost her tail, or it might have been the early part of last year. But she doesn't care. Sprawling on yet another blanket. She always commandeers our blanket. Oh, that's my dressing gown, actually. Always commandeers them. Oops. This is an unhappy cat in the cat basket on her way to the vets or on her way back from the vets. She gets quite angry in there. Oh, here we are. May 2021. She'd had an anaesthetic. And because she's only got one leg at the front, being wobbly after an anaesthetic is even more wobbly for her. So it's really horrible watching her to try and get up and move. I had a daybed for a while, commandeered by the cat. And again. And this was yesterday. She'd burrowed into that blanket and then got herself comfortable on cushions and a blanket. So that's the story of Jazz. Prolific hunter, despite only having one leg at the front. Runs at an angle. When she's tired, she lopes like a kangaroo. But she's a very happy cat. I think for me, she's the best cat we've had. But I think I might be biased. Thank you for your indulgence.